And you should just add the shootout to the regular season. You get 2 points for the win, and then you have this bonus thing, and you can just hook people. It's an extra thing to get people to stay a little longer.
Yeah, you can pick up an extra point every night. It's, maybe it's somebody's answer to the 3-point game. I don't know.
Well, what they could do is they could have a roster spot for a shootout specialist.
You know what? That
now I'm spending their money.
The PA Parento rule, right?
Yeah.
The Flyers would have liked to do that, 20 years ago or whatever it's been that we've had. You almost had the shootout. I guess it hasn't been almost 20 years. I guess it's been closer to 15, but it's been a while. Still feels like we just put this in, but it's relatively close to that 20th birthday.
Well, guys like TJ Oshie could stay around until they're 50, just doing the shootout.
Yeah,
it's like the knuckleballer.
It's the DH of ice hockey. There you go.
Yeah. And so you hang around in case there's a penalty shot in the game, and then we're kidding, of course. But let's get to let's put a bow on this game, because the preseason is okay. You saw some things, you got some things out of it. Boston, as Tim said there, latter part of the broadcast, was a team that basically fielded their entire NHL team tonight. Flyers had 10 guys that are trying to make the NHL on their roster tonight. Big difference.
Yeah. And I thought that, again, we talked about this on Tuesday night, that the first period was pretty rotten because it was the first preseason game. It was everybody's first game action. Tonight, a little bit more of the same thing, because, again, only 2 of these guys were in the lineup on Tuesday. Everybody else, this is also their first preseason game. Bruins have already played 2, so I think just about everybody in their lineup had already seen some game action this year. So it wasn't too surprising to me to see Boston have the momentum in that first period. It's a little disappointing that it came on the back of, I think, 3 or 4 penalties, which, again, was, probably some of their speed. Flyers trying to keep up, and a lot of those guys, again, their first game. But I think there's a lot of good things to take away from this one. Obviously, Joel Farabee with the 2 goals. But that power play unit as a whole looked pretty good against a pretty stacked NHL roster.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Joel Farabee, last year, Bri, was so good, right? He had some points in the season where he got off to a hot start, and then he cooled off a bit, but then he heated up again at the end. And I think, you get the lasting memory, and you get the 20th goal in 55 games, a 30-goal pace. You'll take it. And, to come out in his first preseason action in pot 2 against Boston, who's got their NHL roster, that's certainly a good sign.
Yeah, definitely on his end. And everybody else on that power play too was impressed by the way Cam York carried himself in that power play situation. Really good play, I think, to set up the second one. It was patience up there on the point, and it's just again, Alain Vigneault has always been always. He only had one full preseason, but back then in his first preseason as the head coach of the Flyers, he was about building towards the regular season. It wasn't just 6 preseason games. Every preseason game has a purpose, and it has a reason for the lineup they put out there, the reason that the lines are paired the way that they are, and this was just step 2 in that process, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked about this the other night, and there was such a big jump from year 1, Joel Farabee, where he didn't make the team out of camp, but came in and had the 8 goals in his rookie year. And then the jump from year 1 to year 2 was a big, big jump. I don't think we can expect a jump from year 2 to year 3 to be as substantial as that one, because he really, he jumped far. But I'm expecting him to go to the next level, and to be a guy that's going to flirt with 30 goals this year. And be even better in all zones. He has already gained the trust of the coaching staff of Alain Vigneault, and he puts him out there in key situations. So a jump, is it going to be as pronounced as it was from year 1 to year 2? Probably not, because eventually you can't just keep making jumps that are huge leaps. But I expect him to take the next step, and he gets the contract. That's the business part's in the rear view. So nothing but great things for Joel Farabee.
I think it might be, if it's not a jump, it might be a pretty big step, because Joel Farabee is he is a kid that has made big steps almost every year that he played. He went from a 14-point season in 20 games on the under 17 team to a 40-point season in 26 in the under 18 team, just in USHL play, and then from there right to Boston University, point per game player there in his one season, 36 points in 37 games. And from there, he was in the NHL the next year. He only needed 5 games with the Phantoms before he got his permanent call-up. So he has taken a lot of big steps in his career so far, and I hope you're right. I hope the next one, maybe there's 2 or 3 more coming for this kid, and they'll all be here in Philadelphia thanks to that new contract.
Yeah, and some people ask the question when he signed the contract: is this committing too much too early? Well, this is where you have to have some trust in the organization that they know the player, they know his work ethic, they know how much he works hard at his game, and we saw that from year 1 to year 2. He had a lot of scoring chances in year 1, but was not able to finish at the NHL level to the degree of scoring chances he had. Then he came back and he worked on that release, changing the angle of his shot, and you saw the result last year. Let's get to his goals, actually, as a matter of fact. Let's get to the highlights, because the Flyers opened the scoring in this game. It came in 7:18 of the first period. They're on the power play when James Van Riemsdyk sets up Joel Farabee for his first of the preseason. Next one will be Farabee as well, Pat. Nah. No. How about that pass from James Van Riemsdyk? 3-man game happening there, and he's able to give that one to Farabee in a spot. He'll take 1,000 in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could score that one.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be hard. The biggest thing though about that play is what we were talking about earlier, is that it was James Van Riemsdyk acting as the playmaker. And if that's going to continue, if he's going to be in a situation where he can be the dangerous net front guy, but then all of a sudden slip out to the half wall and be the playmaker, that kind of confusion, that gets the PK rotating, and then they lose a spot, they lose a man, and it creates opportunities just like that. And if that continues, and the Flyers can also make it so it's not like something anybody can scout, if they get that variety in there, that's a really dangerous, what would probably end up being a second power play unit.
It's a great point on a couple of things. Number one, James Van Riemsdyk is kind of at the side of the net there, down below the goal line. To make that pass in there, that's a goalie nightmare, because he's got to turn his head and he doesn't know what's happening in the front side of the net. He's looking down below the goal line, so you don't know where that guy's going. And James Van Riemsdyk got it all in front of him. But number two, and it's a good point, the last couple of years, the power play was, if anything, it was inconsistent, but it was also predictable.
Yeah,
it was like you knew what they were going to do.
And that problem also goes back to the previous coaching staff too. And again,
and the previous one.
Yeah, those guys, they know what they're doing. But when I can tell you where the power play is going to go during a game, that's probably not ideal. And I think that part of what the Flyers are going to benefit from this makeover that they had this summer is new looks on that power play, because for everything that your coaching staff can do to work with the power play, the Flyers had almost the same personnel on there for I'm not sure how many years. It had been a while that they mostly had the same personnel on the power play unit, with the lone exception of Wayne Simmons moving out and James Van Riemsdyk moving in. So I'm hoping that Keith
and they played the same role in that power play.
Yeah, exactly. It was just almost just a swap of players. So having Keith Yandel back there, if Cam York's on the team, having him back there, Joel Farabee with being able to work along the half wall, I think there's a lot of potential there for that group to take that in a different direction.
Yeah, Ryan Ellis is a guy that can quarterback a power play as well. So he's got a big shot back there, and he can distribute. So it'll be a fresh approach for sure. And it was just at points just too many pass-first guys, and you got a guy named Cam Atkinson who can fire it. And maybe they haven't had that kind of shooter's mentality maybe since Scott Hartnell the year that Yager was here. That may go back that far.
I really feel this roster has lacked that for a while. That sniper, if you will. Is Cam Atkinson that sniper that they would really need? No, probably not. But he is definitely going to help.
He's a shooter. He's a goal scorer.
And I think Lane Vigneault or Chuck Fletcher said it at some point this summer that he would love to add another one. If the Flyers can get another one at the deadline, like if they're in a contending position at the deadline and they can add another scorer to
Vlad Tarasenko.
complement Cam Atkinson, I mean that'd be huge. So, but
like
he definitely
Tarasenko
is a help. Yeah, exactly. That's the name I think a lot of folks are thinking. But that's why I really liked the Voracek for Atkinson trade, because the Flyers had, I think, one too many playmakers at times, and for one of those to go out and for a more goal inclined, shoot first inclined guy to come in, I think will be a benefit in the long run.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's get to Joel Farabee's second goal. So he opened the scoring, put the Flyers up 1-0 on the power play. Boston then scored 4 unanswered goals. Marchand on the power play, Craig Smith on the power play, Brandon Carlo even strength. That wrapped up the first period with the Bruins leading 3-1. They outshot the Flyers 11-4 in the first. In the second, they get one late when Jake DeBrusk gets an even strength goal for his second of the preseason. And then in the third, the Flyers get within 2 at 9:40. Once again, on the power play, it's Joel Farabee, his second.
Play, Joel Farabee.
And that's the sound of me just picking him up in fantasy. There you go. Joel Farabee's second power play goal of the game. Great release once again. JVR once again picks up the helper.
Post. I thought that was a goalpost. Is that
it
what
was.
That sound was?
Yeah, and it was like the cash register sound as it goes in. JVR picks up an assist on both of his goals. Cam York grabs an assist there as well. 4-2, that's as close as the Flyers would get. They did the shootout, and they'll do the shootout at the next 2 games at the Wells Fargo Center that the Flyers will have for the preseason as well. And the preseason remaining schedule, 4 games left on the schedule for this preseason. You get to the preseason, you're all excited about it. Oh, hockey's back on TV, and then you're like, okay, these can't stop me. Let's get right to the regular season. That's coming. That's coming 2 weeks from tomorrow. But in the meantime, Flyers will be back in action coming up Saturday at the Wells Fargo Center. They'll take on the Washington Capitals. Peter Laviolette and the Caps will be in town. And then they'll see Boston on Monday, also at the Wells Fargo Center. So do the shootout in those 2 games. So if you're going, hang around if you want to watch the shootout. And then they'll wrap up the preseason with a game on Tuesday, October 5th against the Islanders on the road. And Friday, October 8th will be the final preseason game against the Caps in D.C. And then they'll have that week off before they start their regular season against the Vancouver Canucks coming up on October 15th. So they'll start the year with a 4-game homestand: Vancouver, Seattle, Boston, and Florida. 2 of those teams, Vancouver, not a playoff team last year. They're looking for a bounce back. They've got some contract issues with Elias Pettersson that they're dealing with, and Quinn Hughes still not in camp. Seattle obviously wasn't in the playoffs. They weren't in the NHL last year. What are they? We don't know. But we do know those 2 Atlantic Division teams in Boston and Florida that they're going to take on in that first homestand are no joke. And Florida may be the cream of the crop in that division. Brad Marchand's parents don't even like him. He would be so beloved here in Philadelphia, too. One of the things we're doing this year, Brian, on pregame and postgame, we are streaming them as well, and people can comment. And so we get comments in, and we're going to react to some of them, and we'll read some as we go. We'll take phone calls at points throughout the season as well. And Jared Phillips put a comment in, and he says, I'd like to see JVR, Couturier, and Farabee as a top line. Farabee and JVR have undeniable chemistry. Those guys need to be on the top line, I think. He said, I've seen enough of 28, 14, and 11. Well, look, those are going to be your top two lines, probably. But that being said, 28, 14, and 11, Giroux, Couturier, and Konechny has the potential to be an incredibly dynamic line. Yeah. He is a father, yes. Unmute. By the way, real quick, unmute your Yeti. Yeah, because the stream people can't hear it.
Yep, I see it now. What the Flyers would love to do would be to find some lines that can establish that kind of chemistry and have it be consistent. Not just play 10 days and then we got to switch lines again. I think it's been a long time since the Flyers have had a consistent line that plays every single game for 4, 5, 6 weeks and is consistently successful. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping that they can establish this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to some more of the comments as we go through this post-game broadcast. We're also going to play a quick a snippet of an interview that I did with Rasmus Ristolainen. Of course, he debuted tonight in the game for the Flyers. We're going to do that after a quick timeout. And, he was a funny guy, and he's excited to be here. So we'll give you that coming up as well. Stay tuned. It is the post-game show. Brian Smith, Jason Martinez, and we're right here on the Flyers Broadcast Network. You ain't going to make it through the season, Pat. Come on, Charlie Sheen. Seriously, you watch 2 preseason games and you're making that conclusion already? I'm not saying they're going to be great. I got to see it, but Jesus, off 2 preseason games? Let me put my ears into the out of here, Brian, during the break.
What's that?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that interview, Pat? Okay. I'll tee it up.
Nolan Patrick is on the ice as a Vegas Golden Knight.
I have so many things I want to say about that.
White gloves and everything.
Yeah, I think he wore white gloves when he was here, didn't he? Yeah. Traded him for your boy, Cody Glass-Egan. I remember on one of the Stick to Hockey podcasts, you picked Glass to make the team at camp. Schmitty's got the Uncle Junior from The Sopranos paneling going there.
Yeah. 1973.
Joey B, what's up, dude? Yes, I am actually, Philip, doing a fantasy league. I'm not running one. I'm in one. Sorry. It's Joey B. Get it right, Egan. So we'll go to Risto here, Bri, and then we can just talk to these people. Bry's got a cat.
Yeah, they come.
They're showing us his butthole.
They come and go.
And we'll hang out with the people.
Here
we go. That's right. Jason Bertitas, Brian Smith. We're hanging out. Post-game show. Flyers fall to the Boston Bruins. Will be back in action coming up Saturday against the Caps at the Wells Fargo Center. We'll bring it to you live once again. In case people haven't noticed, a little bit different, obviously, this year, Bri. Two of us, number one. It's not just me. It's me and you. Obviously, a lot more conversational than me just talking. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of interaction, expanded coverage, if you will. And it's going to be a ton of fun for everybody to get involved. And, there's going to be nights when it's going to be angry.
Yeah.
Thank God we didn't do this last year.
A lot of anger.
The look on my face. The one that almost put me over the edge.
It's something that we're really working with right now and seeing what the best flows are. But we're gonna try to work in various segments of things. We're gonna try to get Timmy and Coatsy in when we can. Get some of their perspectives on it, some of Coatsy's stories, if you will, and just keep it going a little bit longer after every game, and hopefully we're gonna have a real good team to talk about. So we'll see what the season holds here.
One of the things that I've been thinking about. And this is one of the MOs of Alain Vigneault teams is that they don't get off to good starts, especially when he's got a new group. We saw that in Montreal, in Vancouver, with the Rangers, and we saw it in year one here with the Flyers. And he gets it pointed straight eventually, but they don't get out of the gate good. He's got to buck that trend here because they got to get out of the gate well. And they brought in a lot of veteran guys, so it's not a lot of young guys learning the system, but there is a little bit of guys have to have some time to play on instinct and not play while thinking, because that's a huge problem. That's something that's just kind of been stuck in my craw. I'm just wondering about that element of it. We'll see how that plays out. In this game tonight, Rasmus Ristolainen, of course, he made his debut as a Philadelphia Flyer. He's a polarizing acquisition. The analytics community thinks he's the worst ever. The old school people like the physicality, and very few people meet in the middle when it comes to Rasmus Ristolainen. Now, he played in this game tonight, and we have some few people on the stream saying that they really like what they saw, the physicality, the presence that he brings on the ice. In the game, he ended up playing 22 minutes and 28 seconds. He had 3 minutes and 15 seconds on the power play, 3 minutes and 10 seconds shorthanded. He is a guy that had 3 years in a row where he scored over 40 points. He had 2 hits in the game, and he had 2 shots. So his presence was there for the Flyers. And I had a chance to catch up with him back when the Flyers acquired him, and he's a beauty. He's an interesting guy, and he's a lot of fun. I think Flyer fans, once they get to know Rasmus Ristolainen better, are going to like Rasmus Ristolainen and what he brings. And the first question I asked him about was he taken back by the fact that he was traded from Buffalo? All right, so we got about 7 minutes, Pat. Oh. Michael's got the FB Dean.
What's that
guitar?
mean?
I'm assuming he's...
Oh, guitar. Okay.
Jones said the third goal got deflected off Sandin. Still shouldn't really get beat there. And he shouldn't have his skate. He should have his skate on the near side post. Yeah, I didn't like his positioning there, Jared. You have to shade short side. All the bodies there were in the middle of the ice, so you have protection there anyway. And the shortest distance for the puck to travel on that side is to the short side. I didn't like his positioning. I didn't see it hit his stick. I didn't see it change direction in what I looked at, but I didn't love that. The glove was a little low in the setup as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be fascinating to me. Martin Jones?
Me as well. I think in this role, I think is going to be interesting. I don't know that he has what it takes to be what he was, but I think in this role he's a good fit. He's definitely a guy that probably can take more games than Brian Elliott could at this point.
I agree with that.
As far as being able to push Carter and all that, I think it's a decent matchup to me.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get the structure back in his game. I talked to Kevin Woodley, who is out in Vancouver, and he's the goalie whisperer. And he said that a lot of the structure was back in his game last year, in the beginning of the year. And it lasted almost to the midway point. But again, you're playing behind Burns and Carlson and Vlasic. I mean, that you thought the Flyers' D environment was bad. Theirs may have been worse from a just defense standpoint.
Yeah.
Then you couple it with what those guys are getting paid. Holy hell. I mean, if you're a free agent goalie, you're not going to San Jose if you got an option. Try to go to a Barry Trotz team.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a free agent anything, you're going there right now, but my goodness, it's I don't know what they just fell off the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the Carlson thing. I did not like that when it happened if I was a San Jose fan. Joey B goes, "What we have cats? What is this, Joe Louis Arena?"
It is around here. Oh my goodness.
Philip,
Zoom era here was full of cats.
See the guitar back there, Michael? See the dime bag? Let me turn on the light.
I got Taylor's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They just hang on the wall, though. I don't hardly play them anymore.
Yeah, you don't play them?
Bad, but
strings are like rusted out.
They're not quite that bad, but I gotta get them down a little more.
All right, so Charlie, his original comment. Let me give this here. I want to give his updated comment too. This is his first comment. He thinks the team's going nowhere. Then he wants to grab Eichel. I wouldn't go near Eichel, to be honest with you, Charlie, because I worry about that injury.
I guess it depends what they want.
They want a lot.
Yeah.
He's too much risk for me. But then Charlie said, let me bring it up here. I got to go all the way back down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And this I do agree with.
I guess I'm sure his contract's insured, but I can't imagine the Pagulas want to sit there and pay him all that money to not play.
No doubt. So Charlie now says the season comes down to the defenseman. Hart is more than capable of carrying this team, but he needs better than he had last year. Totally agree. That's why they went out and they got Ryan Ellis. That's why they went out and got Ristolainen and Yandel.
That's one of the hinges of this season is Ellis and Provorov playing 25 minutes a night. And
All right, so Jared says, whomever takes Ellis, or Eichel rather, is also taking on a lost year. He hasn't even had the surgery yet. You're right.
No. They're in a stalemate over it.
Yeah, which will take him out all year if he has it in season. It's a good point. You don't want to give up a ton for a guy and then not be able to put the new toy on the ice. That's a hard sell.
That is, yeah.
Really hard.
There's seeing rumblings on Twitter that something is close, but I don't know what.
For AV?
No, Eichel.
Oh, yeah, we've been hearing that for a while, all right. Did AV speak yet?
He did. It was not on Twitter.
Oh.
The guys were on Twitter. That's why my microphone ended up turned down, because I was trying to figure out how to roll on them, and it didn't work.
Because your microphone's going to feed that too. I can set it up on mine without that.
I could hear them through my speaker, but it didn't go into my cool edit.
I got a tweet from this guy, Michael Sable, said, "What's with the camera angle at center ice on the glass? Not a fan." Michael, I think that they used that because they were having such technical problems.
Yes, they lost sync with their truck is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to depend on that camera for a while because their main center ice camera went down.
Yeah, I was like shaking my TV. I'm like, "What's going on here?" And then I saw it happening on my monitor for the NHL video cast.
It's like I was watching. I was telling you guys, watching Philly 57 in the 80s on my rabbit ear TV.
Yeah.
It was nostalgic.
Doc Emmerich on the call.
And then it started flickering. It was like they were on Prism or something. I texted Kenny. I said, hey, when you lose the feed, just go into radio mode because it's literally you on the phone like it's Baltimore in 1990.
Yeah. All right, 30 seconds. How much longer, Bri?
For
10:34, we're good, right?
We're done. Yes,
let's wrap it. We're gonna wrap it.
Stop. It's fine.
Wrap it, boys.
Pat wants to go another 20 minutes.
There he is, Rasmus Ristolainen. I love what he said. He says, I hope there's no kids listening. I like to be piece of S out there.
For those of us that know Kimmo Timonen, he sounds so much like Kimmo Timonen, but with a completely different personality. Because they're both from Finland and they both have the same kind of voice tone and the same accent. But it's a completely different personality.
Yeah, it's wild, and he could be a real fun guy, provided he plays well and provided the team plays well. All right, it's gonna put a wrap on the postgame show. We'll be back Saturday. Got another one for you. Flyers will be home against the Washington Capitals. We'll bring you all the action with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates. For Brian Smith, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody. All right, see you, man. All right, we're done, Schmitty. And everybody on the stream, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We'll do it all season long. It'll be fun. We really appreciate it. Have a great night.
He hung up on me.
Yeah, he'll hang up really quick.
And ran home.
Yeah, he's probably already in his car. All right, everybody on the stream, good night. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
Thanks
Cheers.
for joining us.